Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, that followeth, that followeth, that followeth. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, and death, and mourning, and she shall be utterly burned, fire, by strong, saith Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, 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 Yahushua.
Ndabula was recently outed as gay in a video that was posted online. Soon after, his landlord confronted him and issued an eviction notice. His story showcases the widespread discrimination and prejudice faced by homosexuals in Uganda.
There are a lot of people that I know that have chosen to recloset themselves, hide deep down because they are scared of coming out.
A largely conservative Christian country, Uganda has been cracking down on LGBTs for years. In 2013, authorities introduced a law making gay sex, which was already illegal, punishable by death, but it was later struck down by the Supreme Court. And earlier this month, Parliament began work on another draft law calling for the reintroduction of the death penalty.
Is a clear indication that they want to erase anything around the human rights of LGBTs in Uganda. And definitely the end game is come up with a stronger legislation.
In January, Uganda's parliament ordered an investigation into the alleged promotion of homosexuality in schools, with some MPs even hinting at a countrywide LGBT.
It is not something that just comes by. It means that there could be a number of people who are already behind this move.
For many activists, even if the bill is struck down, the language employed by officials who've referred to homosexuality as a cancer and a human wrong already has far-reaching consequences.
Here now, Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni has lashed out at Western countries for criticizing Uganda's parliament after it had approved a bill that is likely to impact the rights of the LGBT.
Of countries around the world. When you start treating people differently, not because of any harm they're doing anybody, but because they're different, that's the path whereby freedoms begin to erode.
But there are some things that we must admit we don't share. Our culture, our societies don't accept.
What I can tell you about steps the United States might take in response is that we are undertaking a review of our relationship with Uganda in light of this decision.
But Museveni remains unperturbed.
The outsiders cannot dictate to us. This is our country, this is our society, this is our future. It is not anybody's future. The outsiders will have to live with us, or if they don't want, they take their aid and we shall. Uganda is very rich, we don't need aid. In fact, aid is part of the.
I want to give all the praises and the honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Recha Ha Kodash, and double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone. Honors as well to you brethren, you fellow followers of this truth. Shalom to the elect. So we know there's a term or a saying, nothing is for free, right? Everything is bought with a price. And as they say in the world, including your soul, Matthew 16, for what a man giveth, right? So you have this country, Uganda, which I read a little bit on, but they have a league going with the U.S. Now, in the intro, you see what it says, and obviously I'm not going to talk about that very much, but I will go into the fact that these countries are put in positions of dependence, right? And this is why money, with the money, you have the power, and let me say the circumstances, because you can be like a wealthy athlete and still don't have but so much power, right? And this is why the Lord puts who he will in power, and it's time for the children of Israel to get back the rightful rulership of power. And the reason why that's the case because everything has to be set forth back in order. Now, let me read a little bit on this guy in Uganda, or this country. But first, let me go to Numbers 12. Salakia Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, in the Apocrypha 12 and 10. Let me go there real quick, which a lot of us know this already. Never trust thine enemy, for as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass. Now this actually is going to the men of the Lord for the edification and understanding, right? This situation, it says, never trust thine enemy. They humble themselves and say, hey, look, we gave you money, we supported you. You know, you don't think that comes with a price? Now, the one who have the power to control does the dictating. This also proves that you could claim you have some sort of power, and you may, but ultimately the Most High has the ultimate power. Now they're telling the Western world, as he speaks, the Western world is telling them, this is what you must do. We want to push this ideology. And it's kind of crazy that I always say this. It's kind of crazy that through freedoms, through all kind of beliefs, you could do what you want to do without any form of order. You know, through all kind of freedoms and beliefs, you're free to do this, you're free to do that, when you can't go to work and free to do anything. But for whatever reason, when it comes to morals and you know how you supposed to be according to the scriptures, but let's just say morals, there is none, because you can do whatever you want to do. You can be free, because it all goes to morality, right? So if you want to marry your dog, well, yeah, you can, right? So this is crazy. Again, it's not much I'm going to be able to say on it, but it's really weird how they consider being free a choice of something that's against the scriptures. And then they will put it in the plate of everybody to accept, even though that they don't accept it. Now, the same government will come out and say, well, we don't accept this, we don't accept that, we don't accept you Hebrews, we don't like it. Well, there's no charge of hate there. Anyway, there's some feminists that got online and said all men should be banned from Instacart because they can't comprehend all the societies created on the left-hand side for the Queen of Heaven to comprehend certain things. That's another video. Let's go to Psalms, and I'll get to a little more in this. Psalm 62 and 10. Trust not in oppression, and become not vain in robbery. If riches increase, set not your heart upon them. And this is what happens. We're going to fund you for this. You know, the next tidal wave come, we're going to help you with this. We're going to help you with the schools. We're a Christian community. You don't think there's a price to pay for that? It's what we say. You know, it's like if somebody coming to your home and you pay the rent, or you paying somebody else's rent, you paying somebody else's bills, you're paying their car notes. They're not doing that for the sake of just being kind and a great person. They're doing that for the fact of having control over the situation. Now we go ahead and it says to the U.S. Let me see if I can read here. I don't want to jump too much. It says U.S. and Uganda. It says U.S. has been a reliable partner for the United States. Uganda has been a reliable partner for the United States in promoting stability in the Horn and East Central Africa and combating terror, particularly through its contribution to the African Union mission in Somalia. So anybody who don't know, America's been at war all the way going back to the Civil War, and even before then, there's been many wars. In fact, the war of Afghanistan, I believe, is just wrapping up. And a lot of people don't know that because they don't put it in the news. So you have a situation where wars, order of chaos, where wars are created, things are created, and okay, we're going to come with the solution. And the solutions, in the writing, in the contract states, this is what must happen because we're feeding you, and if not, we're going to take it back. Anyway, U.S. assistance to Uganda. The United States provides significant health and development assistance to Uganda with a total assistance budget exceeding $950 million per year. Now I wonder why. All the communities in the so-called black and Hispanic neighborhoods, out of all these communities, the recs have closed down. You push money on in the athletic world, so all the children will grow up, want to be an athlete or a rapper with a stack of money beside their head. But as far as the education, you've built jails, you've built prisons, you've managed to fund the streets with guns, drugs, and violence. Then you promote it into rap and then make it a reality and then claim that we are the problem. But these people, and what we're talking about, promote it, not like Kyrie, but these people promote it and push it out there in the street. But for whatever reason, they are able to send $950 million per year to Uganda, a country. That's what it is. Let me say that. That's crazy. You hear people saying, America, they stepped in and helped the Ethiopians, right? Because they were starving and pitiful, but nobody went into the fact that, why did that happen? That's another video. But here they come, skipping on down the street with the solution. The government plays a key role in improving health outcomes and strengthening Uganda's capacity to sustainably address emerging health threats, tuberculosis, malaria, and maternal child health, family planning, and HIV and AIDS. All I can say is Fort Detrick. You can look that up. It's what it is. I can't say much on it. Right here in Maryland, by the way, including by providing antiretroviral treatment for more than 1.2 million Ugandans. So here they go with the saviors, like Jesus the Christ, right? The anointed ones. 1 Corinthians 10:21, you cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils. You cannot be partakers in the Lord's table and the table of devils. That also precepts to, you can't worship Yahweh and Mammon. You can't have that going on and worship the Heavenly Father. So these so-called Christians aren't real Christians. Give it time. Everything will work through. That's all we know. Revelation 18:3, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. Now there's a lot of people that say this is not America. This is not Babylon. Right? It's the Vatican. This is a prime example, right? And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Now, you can even go and read this whole chapter, and it goes into how they're going to wail because of the destruction and the fire burning and the smoke that you'll see from far distances. All nations have drunk the wrath. Drunk is G4095. It says figuratively to receive into the soul, right? Strengthen, nourish it into life eternal. This also brings me to Colossians 2:8. Habakkuk 2 is also a good one. There's several scriptures that go into this situation. You can go a whole hour on this particular situation. But, it's kind of crazy that for whatever reason, the morals according to the Bible has been twisted and says, well, you can do this, you can do that, Of course, I'm not going to say it, but you got to agree with this, you got to do this, you got to do that, or you're considered something that, that's been put out there to say, negatively about you. But if you stand up for righteousness, that's why the scripture says, woe to them to call good evil and evil good. But if you stand up for righteousness, then all of a sudden, you are depriving people of their right to opportunity. It's kind of like they have the children at 13, well, let me say young, 9 years old, 8 years old, who's able to change their identities. This is no lie, you can look it up. For whatever reason. There's freedoms there, right? But there's no freedom when it comes to being the actual age or the person that you want to be. So to say, hey, I'm a masculine young man or feminine young woman, all of a sudden that's not freedom, you're talking bad. So everything is flipped. You must understand that. So anyway, I just wanted to touch on that. Really, I can't go too much into the actual topic. Had to cut a lot out, which proves that's a problem in itself, that you have to cut things just to make a point. But the elect will understand, though. Well, let me say the hopefully elect and the brothers will understand. That's all I have on that. Shalom.